Hi, my name's Eric Millard. I've got a very special guest today, dolphin expert Dr. Rusty Wang. Today he's going to tell us how you can get the best cuts of your ocean mammals from your local fishmonger. Hey Rusty, how's it going today? Sorry Eric, it's just me again, the man with the prehensile kneecaps, Eric Miller. Oh, what in Fraggle Rock? Okay, so what do you have for us this time, pretty boy? Today I've got a Makarov caliber pistol from Cold War Eastern Europe. It's from Poland and it's called the P64. Huh. Well, that is a goofy little thing. Does it have a special story that I'm sure you're going to tell us all about anyway, even if I don't ask? Well, I'm glad you asked that, Eric. This gun was a replacement for the Russian Tokarev pistol and went into production around 1964. It had some issues and a slightly modified version was made starting in 1972, but ultimately was replaced in 1983 by the P83, and which is much more similar in size and function to the original Makarov pistol. Like, what kind of issues? Well, first off, this gun is way too small to be considered a serious combat pistol. Also, the magazine was a little small. It only holds 6 rounds, and because it's such a small gun, it does kick a lot. Also, the beaver tail here is really small, so if you're not careful, if you don't take your time getting a good grip on the gun, you're going to end up with 2 red train tracks down the side of your hand here when you shoot it. Also, the worst was probably the horrific double action trigger pull, which was somewhere over 25 pounds. Well, what a piece of crap! Is it even useful at all for anything? Well, as a matter of fact, this is a great concealed carry pistol. It shoots 9x18 Makarov, which is just a tad larger than the 380 auto that most pocket pistols today use. It's about virtually the same size as a Walther PPK, which going on 80 years now is still the benchmark for pocket pistols, which is just amazing. And it's also extremely slim. In fact, it's the same thickness as those new Walther PPSs, or Police Pistol Slim. So it's a very slim gun. And whereas either of those Walthers will run you around $600, this gun cost me less than $250. And it's got this nifty little loaded chamber indicator right here, which is kind of nice. Is it accurate and or reliable? Well, like the Makarov, it's got these tiny little itty-bitty sights that in a defensive shooting situation would be completely useless, but at the range, it is ridiculously accurate and flawlessly reliable. You mentioned something about a 25-pound double action trigger pull. Is that... Yes, it's really horrible, but there is good news. Wolf Gun Springs makes replacement hammer springs or mainsprings for this gun. The original is around 24 pounds. I replaced mine with the 18-pound spring, and now I can actually pull the trigger with 1 finger, whereas before, with the original spring, I needed 2 fingers to be able to do it. You said there was an updated version of this gun. Yes, from 1972 onward, this gun was marginally better. The most obvious improvement was the triangular hammer, since this round one is kind of difficult to pull back. They also made some slight improvements to the trigger. There's a lot of trigger creep on the single action trigger pull on this older version. And they did one other thing that was kind of weird that folks should probably be aware of. Weird how? Well, they must have done something to the feed ramp of the gun, because the feed lips on the newer magazines are much longer than the older version magazines. And here's a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. Well, the result of this is that your new mags won't work in the old guns. However, the old magazines will work in the newer versions of the guns. But it's okay, because all you have to do, if you have an old version of gun like mine and you have new version mags like this one, you just have to polish, grind, cut, whatever, the feed lips back just a little bit so that they match your old mags, and they should work just fine then. Okay, so before I start injecting heroin into my eyeballs to relieve the boredom of it all, why don't we take a look and watch you do some shooting with this your ugly little gun here. Woo!
There's a dead tank.
Woo. Man. Ha!
It did work.
Man, I don't know what it is. It's just that there's a lot of blood when I wipe, and it just seems like, oh, hey, look, we're done. You're done shooting already. So, hey, Eric, why don't you tell us about what it is like shooting that gun? Because it looks very small and doesn't look like fun to shoot. Is it horrible? No. Does it kick a lot? Yes. Is it painful? No. Is it unmanageable? No. Is it fun? No, I would say. All the recoil from this P64 goes straight into the web of your hand for some reason, and that gets old pretty quick, I'm telling you. But this is not a happy, fun time range gun, so I don't think it really matters. So how does this gun stack up to your other Makarov caliber guns? Okay, let's take a quick look at and compare the size of this gun to some other guns, and we can see, you know, how does it relate? Sometimes I have a hard time just looking at it, a picture of it, and going, oh, that's about that size. Okay, well, here's my Walther P1. This is a full-size combat pistol, and it absolutely dwarfs this P64. It's, it looks like about twice as thick practically, and it's way huge. We got my commercial Makarov here. It's just about the same size. It's very close, but it's quite a bit thicker. You can see here the CZ82 is also just a little bit bigger in both directions here, and it's also quite a bit thicker than the P64. So this gun it's not itty bitty teeny tiny like one of those little Kel-Tecs or Rugers where you can't even get like 2 fingers around the thing to hold on to it or whatever, but this certainly is a nice compact size. Whoa, dude, would you mind not pointing those things at me? Dude, shut up. You're not even there. So what do you do if you need like replacement parts for this gun? Wow, Eric, great question. I'm glad you thought of it. Well, let's take a look at these other guns first. Makarov parts are on the internet, a dime a dozen for this gun, no problem. CZ is still producing the CZ82 commercially as the CZ83, which, as far as I know, nearly all the parts for those two guns are interchangeable, so probably no problems there with that gun. P64, on the other hand, the only parts that are readily available here in the United States are springs, grips, and magazines. So if your gun breaks, it's probably going to stay broke. So that is an important consideration to take into account. Whoa, okay, Eric, I think that's about all the time I'm going to let you drain from my life for today. So do you have any final thoughts on this? Well, Eric, there are a lot of new pocket guns out on the market today, and I think that for the money, say $200 to $250, it's very difficult to beat what this gun offers, and that is a moderate amount of defensive firepower in a compact and reliable all-steel package. Great! Now, because I'm such a great guy, I'm going to give you a head start before I come after you for being on my property again. Well, thanks, Eric. You are a stand-up guy.